everybody, Joseph Rothschild here, aka MBT time. And in light of today's interesting news, we are going to talk about conspiracy theories. Now, unfortunately, the test of the emergency broadcast system today did not turn 90% of the population into walking 5G zombies, but it did give us a nice little inroad to talk about some of the silly conspiracies that are present not in the minds of Twitter-addled morons, but in the minds of duelists. What Yu-Gi-Oh! Conspiracy theories do you recall from your time playing the game? And I'm going to begin with one of my all-time favorites, the winner of the unfortunately canceled Yu-Gi-Tube Awards for Worst Post in 2023. Konami gives Japanese players better hands. Some of you might think that Japanese players have optimized decks or spend a lot to get the most expensive decks, but I've noticed that all Japanese players get near perfect hands. Rarely do I see a Japanese player brick, and they always have the right card to dismantle any disruption that stops them from doing their OTK. I feel Konami purposely alters the RNG for Japanese players so they can get the best opening hand, while, say, someone from America will brick more. Just my thought. And I wouldn't put it past Konami doing this, given their past behavior. What the hell does that mean? Konami, mismanaged a portion of Yu-Gi-Oh! I don't like, so that means that they hate Americans. Spenstar says, Konami will keep cards legal because the hatred for those cards from the player base gets them publicity. Mystic Mind trending on Twitter, constant Max C debates, they have to be good for Konami's bottom line. I don't know. I mean, I feel like getting a whole bunch of publicity only works if the publicity isn't a million people saying, this game is unplayable at present. Thousands of people convinced that Carly Nagisa's JP voice actress was replaced in 5Ds was thrown off the rails because of a cult. No evidence, just everyone believes it. There's a really good Reddit post about this, kind of deconstructing this myth. Carly was functionally written out of the last arc of 5Ds. Many people speculate it's because her real-life voice actress was found to be in a cult which shared some characteristics with some of the stuff that the characters did in the show, and they thought it would, mesh poorly. But none of this is substantiated anywhere. A lot of the episodes that came out predate discovering her cult activity, by years. People just thought it sounded like it would be cool if it was true, so they decided that's the same thing as it being true. The Law has one of my favorites. Shouts out to the time when the idea of the game going to 10,000 life points was such a widely accepted conspiracy theory. Ancient Leaf got bought out practically overnight. This one was so funny. It was literally just someone hopped on Zodiac and they were like, my dad works at Konami. Master Rule 5 is coming out tomorrow and you're going to start at 12,000 life points. When the first wave of B-Trooper cards were released, I heard a lot of people parrot the idea they were an attempt by Konami TCG to create an archetype that could abuse Maxx C to such an extent it will cause its banning in the OCG. Next list for sure. I mean, what did you want? They made an archetype that says get Maxx C every game. And then players in OCG were like, yeah, we already have to deal with that. Remember how everybody thought Crow was supposed to be a dark signer based on just no evidence? Here's a Reddit post going over all the stuff they believed and debunking it. People just got into their heads that Crow was originally planned to be a dark signer, but was so popular among the writing staff and the fan base, they had no choice but to write him into the main cast. Crow debuted in episode 30 of 5Ds, October 22nd, 2008. He was a friend to all children. The first wave of Blackwing support arrived in Crimson Crisis in Japan in November 15th, 2008. How could Konami have petitioned for Crow's character to be changed if Blackwings had already come out 3 weeks afterwards? Maybe it was the most popular archetype of all time in 21 days. And they said, scrap all the animation. We gotta make it again. The pros playing Predaplant to spike up the price to offload Conspiracy was a pretty good one. Okay, the conspiracy for this one is that a couple of pros, including I think Pack and Cody, decided that branded Predaplant was a top deck based on their testing. This caused a buyout of a card that wasn't even in their deck. Magician of Hope is the only crossover monster that exists between two protagonists' ace monsters. Supposedly he was printed because in Japan, while Arc V was airing, so were reruns of Zexal, which was more popular. So they printed Magician of Hope to get Zexal fans to watch Arc V. Hey, I know you're watching reruns. This guy's around. Do the pendulum shit. So I guess I'll talk about this one a little bit. Air Neos is a one-to-one copy of a superhero from another IP. So since his original printing, he has not received a single reprint, and all the cards that would technically feature him as a member of the Neos Brigade just don't. What? Wait, we don't have proof? What the fuck? Wait, then why haven't they reprinted him? Wait, so we actually have no idea why this card is not in Master Duel, never had a reprint, removed from every single art that should have him in it? We literally don't know? There's no reason? Konami released Master Duel right when Duel Links entered Pendulum era in order to get people hooked on the new gacha sim to avoid player burnout. I don't buy this one. Golden Nova theorized that this was going to be the center of the branded lore. Okay, well, Golden Nova being wrong isn't exactly a conspiracy. For a while, it was rumored that Konami was refusing to print or reprint cards originating from Yu-Gi-Oh! R because the mangaka went on to create Card Fight Vanguard. I mean, that's petty, but like clearly you can't just give like 45 million cards no reprints ever. My favorite one is that all the old school format deck lists from SJCs, etc. are so mediocre not because we were that much worse at deck building, but because everyone who was doing well was savagely cheating constantly. Okay, obviously not everyone who did well was savagely cheating constantly. A lot of the people from the SJC era of Yu-Gi-Oh! Are still top professional players who consistently put up results. But there were a lot of big names from that period who have disclosed that they were inviolate of the rules. For what it's worth, Konami's done a way better job at sniffing out cheaters than Upper Deck Entertainment ever did. The best conspiracy is still the one guy that randomly DM'd Farfa about how he put together the clues Konami has put out over the years and he knows what Master Rule 6 is going to be. The explanation is that I found a puzzle in the card game itself and that will explain to you how the next Master Rule will work and I will show it to you and I will only need your help when I can convince you at the beginning and I must trust you. After I send you this information, you must choose and think about it because it's a theory and the card game have unofficial sources usually in the form of a puzzle. There's a conspiracy theory that you shouldn't Google the word erratas because it's related to organizations deleting super secret documents and they'll investigate you and make you go crazy if you do. It's turbo stupid because it relies entirely upon not knowing TCGs exist and that they use errata often. Wait, this is a conspiracy theory independent of Yu-Gi-Oh! That is ruined by existence of the fact that players will be like, what did Firewall Dragon say in 2017 again? My personal favorite is when people thought that Simo was rigging his prog pulls on Reddit and was going frame by frame to show that he cheated, only to find out that Gage cheated with getting 2 Reborn Tengu. I'm a Simo fan, let me start off with that. This is not a copium post, but something that was brought to my attention. The pulls in question are his Blizzard pulls in Raging Battle. I will link the timestamp parts well. If you look at 9 minutes in, you will see his Gishnilgadon pack, which is pack 10. Keep the contents in mind along with the next one. You can see him open Blizzard in pack 11. Nothing out of the ordinary, right? Well, when you head over to 1124, you can see in his post-pull recap, the pack after the Gishnilgadon pack is completely different than what he was pulling from the Blizzard pack. You can extra confirm this pack should have been the Blizzard pack because the Ghost or Power Tool pack contents were just before the Gishnilgadon pack, and those were exactly correct too. Yet at pack 11 it changes. I also noticed that when he was scrolling through post-pack opening pulls, he didn't scroll down far enough to see either of the Blizzards, and in fact didn't even mention them at all at that point. I don't want to believe he would cheat in a 4-fun series, but with this evidence it seems plausible he would fake his pulls just so he could actually play Blackwing since they would be severely weakened without one of their best recovery cards. Anyone else see anything different? The actual answer to this one, unfortunately, is insanely boring. Yu-Gi-Oh! Pro Deck doesn't work perfectly all the time. Turbo Synchron and Nitro Synchron were actually supposed to be used for Nitro Warrior and Turbo Warrior, respectively. They have similar color schemes, and there's a DT print of Nitro Warrior that is wind attribute, like Turbo Synchron. They just fucked this up? Firewall Dragon's anime armor, I remember this. So Firewall Dragon was the anime boss of Yusaku in Vrains. So as a result, it resisted ban list hits despite clearly being the problem card of several formats, then finally got banned right when they debuted a new ace monster in Access Code Talker. There's a joke that has gained traction among idiots, as conspiracies do, that the reason that Master Duel hasn't banned Maxi yet is because they ignore all survey feedback that is not in Japanese. This is a classic meow meme. Wow, that's crazy. An entire thread and we didn't get the actually true conspiracy theory. That every time I win, it's because I outskilled my opponent, and every time I lose, it's because my opponent sacked me and got a better hand because of stuff that was out of my control. Why did they play this? They were just wrong! You're allowed to be wrong!